Hey, Mama. Welcome to the Mama Collective podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Ari, and we are just two moms trying to navigate motherhood. Okay? Okay.
Today was a big, big day for both Ari and I. And Ari, I want you, and today was Ari's first day back at work, coming back from maternity leave. How was it? Give me the down low.
Oof. In one word, a boof. I don't know if you watched that House of Gucci, but we can't stop saying boof in this household. First day back at work, real fun. Can't log into my computer for half the day, so that was an adventure. But yeah, first day back after I think 7 months of leave. I went out mid-April.
Wow.
So your girl is back, and I'm like, wow, I don't even know how to type on this computer anymore. I'm just kidding.
It's so crazy. Well, what actually do you do? Like, what's your job specifically? Because you didn't go into an office. You're working from home, yeah?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I get to work from home, but I work as a solution architect for a company that's in the healthcare field. And so it's really kind of sounds fancy, but basically, I work between IT and the business to design solutions or enhancements to whatever technology that they're using. So
I laugh because you said, like, I'm a solution architect, and I'm like just sitting here like, I have no idea what that is, but that's tight. Like, good for you. Sounds like you make good money. Good job.
You got to make some money, right? I don't know. I just got hit in the face with like, dang, I probably need to make more money considering childcare for two is insane.
Twin mom.
So yeah, grateful for my mom.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you though. Like, it's such an honor to see you thrive in motherhood, but then also have a career, being an amazing wife. So super proud of you. I'm sorry today was a little but we'll keep you in the loop of hearing the balance of how you balance motherhood, working from home. I know Ian, your husband, also works from home. Your mom just moved down here. So we're going to have to do a whole nother episode on what it's like to be a working mom from home in corporate with twins, the whole shebang.
Oh, yeah. Moms are freaking superheroes. Let me just tell you that. This is my first day back, and I know we have some amazing ambassadors that are balancing work, businesses, and being an ambassador. So I'm really excited to hear from them too. But today was a huge day for the Mom Walk Collective. Jamie on national television.
What? I know, it's so crazy. Literally. Okay, so for you guys who don't know, like a month and a half ago, I was contacted by NBC, The Today Show. Like,
oh shoot,
The Today Show. And just was like mind blown. One of the producers found my TikTok and they had passed it on to a senior producer. I did a phone interview with them. And essentially the phone interview was to be like, is this girl good enough to be put on TV? Like, can she carry on a conversation?
Is she normal?
Literally, essentially. They're like, do words come out of her mouth?
Is there something there?
Literally. Which I'm like, praise God, I can like chat anyone's ear off. So it worked out well. And
the pageant girl.
It is. I did, side note, going on a little tangent, bunny trail. I did pageants from 15 to 22, and pageants have taught me how to control a conversation in the best way, because majority of a pageant is actually your interview section that no one sees on stage. It's 70% of your score. So I spent months and months and months training how to do conversations, how to learn how to talk to people in different settings. So thankfully that paid off because Today's Show.
Hey,
they loved it.
And she crushed the interview, by the way. There was a lot that wasn't put into the segment that I got to see behind the scenes. And I was like, dang, she really is a pageant girl. Like, damn. Okay. I'm just from the hood. And, sometimes words don't come out of my mouth the way I want them to. So you'll have to forgive me for that.
I love it. No, I love it because I feel like, how people have a phone voice? I have a pageant voice. So like if someone were to like click into an interview, I'm like, boom, clicked in, tuned in, here we go. And I like have trained my brain to do it. So it's been really cool. So they came out to, I was going to go to New York, and they changed their mind and said, screw that. We're actually going to give you a 5-minute segment. We're going to come to you. We're going to do a day in the life, follow a walk. And they filmed it at the beginning of November. And then today is the 28th of November when it aired. And it's just insane. Like, it is actually
so cool.
Insane. More on the fact that when I first watched it, I didn't get to see it till Pacific Standard Time, but obviously on Eastern Standard Time, it aired 3 hours earlier. So I woke up, I had my like alone time, and I journaled and all that type of stuff this morning. And then I got on my phone and I saw the first clip, and I just started weeping. And my mom came over to me, and I had my son, and it was this moment of like, when I was in the deepest, darkest of my times and needed community, and I just did something on a whim to meet my own personal need, and now getting feedback that it's touching millions of lives, I was just like, thank you, Jesus. This is amazing. This is so cool. So I've been like this emotional, like, oh my gosh, I'm on national television, but like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. Like the big emotion. So it's been really cool. Big day for both of us. Big day for the collective. We also had our podcast drop, our merch dropped. If you haven't gotten merch, we have a really cute Mommy and Me. Ari's actually repping it. So go to themomwalkcollective.com, get our Mommy and Me merch. Once this drop is sold out, we're never bringing it back, and we're going to drop a new collection. So if you like the colors, you better hop on it.
Run. Don't walk. I know we're the Mom Walk Collective, but make it a mom run. Okay? It's Cyber Monday, people.
The things I love about Ari is she's like also a little like, she's got the dad jokes in her, but they're like the mom jokes. It's the best.
You know, I like to keep it cheesy sometimes. There's a reason why dad jokes make people laugh.
True.
Actually, you know, side note, and then we'll get started on Jamie's birth story, because I really want to hear this. Ian's brother, awesome, for Christmas gave him a dad joke book, because it was right after we announced that we were pregnant. So maybe I'll bring that into the podcast.
Oh my gosh,
now
please.
And then.
Please. I would love that.
Oh, but okay. Let's get started, because I want to hear the details about your birth story. We shared my birth story last week, and ours are just different birth stories. 1 baby, 2 babies. Mm-hmm. C-section, not C-section. No NICU time, NICU time. So let's just dig into it, okay?
Yeah. What's funny is, backstory, like when I was pregnant, I listened to so many birth stories, because if anyone knows me, even slightly, you know, my biggest fear is throwing up. And so I was so afraid to get pregnant, because I was afraid that I would have extreme morning sickness. And come to find out, I ended up having like slight hyperemesis, where like I was sick all 9 months. So that was great. But
that does not sound fun to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
Like with you saying that, it makes me recall, I used to think I wanted like somebody to carry my baby, because I was terrified of morning sickness.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you are told it's only supposed to last 3 months, but you got the full 9 months.
Yeah, it was like, I'll talk more about it like in everything, but like 20 weeks bad. And then the rest was like, but like just not fun. It was just no. So backtrack all the way to starting out. I was with my ex-husband. We're actually currently going through a divorce. So you guys are getting to hear this from a different perspective. I want to honor him. He's my son's he's my son's dad. So oh my gosh. This is the first time I'm saying these things out loud. So bear with me. He's still my son's dad. Yes. So I really want to honor him still. And I believe there's a lot of power behind words. And so I want to speak very, very well of him. We're just no longer married. So we were married 5 years. When my ex-husband turned 30 is when we said we were going to start trying for kids. So that had meant we were married 4 years when we started trying. So we never did birth control.
Oh.
I had a really just poor experience on times before. So we had used the pull and pray method, worked for 4 years.
Hey.
Praise God. And then we just stopped not trying, if you know what I mean. We're
so you took yourself out of practice and you put yourselves on the game field. Got
it. Exactly. So super amazing. We got pregnant right away, which was such a miracle. We were shocked. We were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I bleed through the whole thing. So I am bleeding from the moment of, what is it called? Implantation bleeding.
Yeah.
So I was bleeding small, lightly the whole time, but my hormones levels were still increasing. 8 weeks, we go and get the pregnancy confirmation. And we just knew something quite wasn't right on the fact that I was bleeding.
Yeah.
I had a really poor experience with this OBGYN. We're not going to talk about it. We'll do that in another segment. And 2 weeks later, I end up miscarrying. And it was really, really hard. Praise God, I feel like I grieved it really easily. My husband at the time did not grieve it really well. He cried for 3 days. Was really tough. It was just a process. After that, we gave my body a rest. Not really. We got instantly pregnant right away again. And
what kind of rest are we talking about? Like a quick water break, and then we're like back on the field, coach.
We're like just to quench the mouth a little, and that
put
was
me
it.
back in. Put me back in.
Literally.
Oh,
that was amazing.
Wow. Okay, let's keep going.
Let's keep going. So yeah, get pregnant right away again, and get pregnant again. We go to see his family and go visit his family. We live in California. His family's in Ohio. I end up miscarrying again on the trip. Super hard for my husband at the time because he essentially was in denial that I was even pregnant the second time. So I grieved that second loss really by myself. And that was really, really, really hard. I then go on this journey of I really want to take care of my body, and noticing at the signs from the first 2 pregnancies, I wanted to do it through a homeopathic way. I find this woman on Instagram. Her name's Jessica Ash Wellness. Ari, have you ever heard of like pro-metabolic eating before?
I feel like I have, but I haven't looked into it. So I want to hear more.
Okay. So pro-metabolic eating is essentially eating for your metabolism. It is going down to the fundamentals of how do your organs work and what food actually provides the nutrients and function for your organs to work properly. So AKA food equals medicine.
Is this like a personalized plan, like personalized for your metabolic system, or just metabolic systems in general?
Metabolic systems in general. So they go down to like body anatomy. It's pretty much like bodies are created this way. This works for 98% of the population type of deal.
Awesome.
Obviously, there's the 2% who are special cases. But
yes,
this woman named Jessica Ash Wellness created courses specifically to help women understand how do your hormones work, how do your organs work, how do you eat then as food being medicine to help heal them. Changed my life. I had friends who had done her course before. She specifically specializes in women with like PCOS and hard time getting pregnancies. And she's very, very catered to that specific type of woman. And I had friends who bought her course, changed their lives. So I'm like, I'm sold. I'm buying it. I buy the course. I follow just like learning about food and learning about my body and my hormones and really healing my hormones. Follow that for months. And then we decided, all right, let's give this another try. And if after this, then maybe we should go see a specialist because it's something more than just the common knowledge that I could find off the internet or, buy a course for. So we stopped not trying again.
Put me in, coach.
Play is playing. And we get pregnant right away again, which is again, a miracle.
Yeah.
And this time it sticks. And I get pregnant with my now son, Lincoln, who is
Mr.
the
Lincoln.
cutest baby ever.
Mr. Lincoln.
He's just
He got
little
his
hand.
spotlight too on the Today Show.
Dude,
I mean, the crying was that was just a great acting, Lincoln. That was not really you. It was just acting.
side story for that. So with the Today Show, the camera guy had this big, massive camera on his shoulder, and my son and his best friend. So my best friend has a son 6 months older than my son, and they see each other almost every day. So they're like buddy buddy. They see each other, hug each other, kiss each other. I have a wagon that they could face each other. The cameraman brings this massive camera up to them, and it scares the living bejesus out of them. And Duke, which is my son's best friend, starts crying. He's only like 14 months old. And Lincoln saw Duke crying, so then Lincoln starts crying. And the producer comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, good. I needed a crying baby shot." And literally, there is in part of the segment, there is Duke and Lincoln hysterically crying. Lincoln doesn't have a shirt on, which I'm like trying to recall, why doesn't he have his shirt on, or it's zipped down? It's a ton.
It got hot on the walk. It was like cold, and then it got hot, and so I think somebody unzipped him to cool him down. But
that probably makes a ton of sense. But my son usually is a handball. Like, loves the camera. You put a camera in his face and like he's like smiling and laughing. Like, he loves attention. He does. He eats it up. But yeah, so we get pregnant. At this point, we don't know if it's boy or girl. I swore, my whole family swore he was a girl. My dad is like, "This is payback. Like, you're going to raise a girl to see how it is, how I raised you." I was a really stubborn kid. My mom even went out and bought girl baby clothes. Like,
before she even knew.
Before. And she's like, "I had a dream. It's girl." And we're like, I was like, "Yeah, it's girl." My dad's like, "Yeah, it's girl." And Charlie, who's my ex-husband, was like, "I don't know. Like, I kind of think it's a boy." And I'm like, "You're wrong. It's not in you. It's a girl."
It's not in you. Because it is up to them, you know?
Yeah. And everyone, we'd tell people, and they're like, "Well, you got a 50-50 chance."
You're like, obviously, that's facts. Do you watch Big or Bachelor in Paradise?
Yes.
Big facts.
Yeah. Big facts.
You might think these are just opinions, but these are big facts.
Big facts. We got found out, or we got found out. We went through this whole little debacle. So after we go through getting the pregnancy confirmed, someone told us about this insurance thing. Tip of advice, we'll do a whole episode on this, but figure out your insurance and where you actually want to give birth before you get pregnant, because once you're pregnant, you are locked into whatever you have. So essentially we wanted to switch once I got pregnant, and I was uninsured from month 2 to month 7. So I was uninsured for 5 months of my pregnancy.
That's crazy.
Which was horrible. I was so sick, and I would, with my worst fear being throw up, I would go into full-on panic attacks multiple times a day, dying because I felt so nauseous and I wouldn't let myself throw up. I would go to urgent cares and I would beg, and I would like lie and say like I had the stomach flu or whatever. I wouldn't tell them that I was pregnant for them to prescribe me Zofran, or I'd finally just like crack and be like, "I'm pregnant. I don't have insurance. I'm paying out of pocket. Please help me." And they'd give me like a 30-day supply. And they'd be like, "You really need to go see an OBGYN." I'm like, "I would if I could, but it's $600 out of pocket, so I'm not going to." I'm like, "I'm figuring this out some way." So I'm loopholing.
You became the urgent care, I don't even know, frequent flyer. That's what we'll call it.
I'm not even kidding. Went to every branch of urgent cares in Orange County during those 5 months.
Like, even who cried. Am I not in their files? I'm going there.
Literally, that was me. I had it tracked. I had it.
Did you have an Apple Notes, like, already been there and check mark here?
Literally. And I would like go through like, who have I paid to?
I laugh, but that is also just very sad and scary to be in that situation. Because it'd be one thing if it was a simple, like, non-complicated pregnancy. And then another thing if you're like feeling sick all the time. Did you follow
Yeah.
Ashley? She's from Bachelor in Paradise as well. Ashley and Jared. She was sick her entire pregnancy.
Yeah. It's more common. You'll see it. I see it more now. I didn't at the time. So I just did like, woe is me during my pregnancy. I was one of those girls where one time my husband at the time was away for one night and I was so sick that I had run out of urgent cares that I could go to. So I literally called telehealth to like ask them to like phone me in a prescription. And I knew I was going to throw up and I'm bawling, tears streaming down my face to a telehealth doctor being like, I'm pregnant, I'm sick, and I'm going to throw up. And they're like, yeah, this is like normal. And really all she could tell me is like, if it's so desperate and you've been throwing up and haven't eaten for days, like you should go to the emergency room. But I'm like, I can't afford a freaking emergency room. That's why I'm calling you. Like, and I'm like in tears by myself, like just needing her to prescribe stuff. And eventually she does. But yeah, I was a wreck for
Mamas,
majority of it.
If this is you, like if this situation resonates with you, dude, reach out to Jamie because she'll give you the hookup, especially if you're in Orange County. She'll give you her spreadsheet of urgent cares. Okay.
Like people used to joke that I was like a Zofran dealer because I would always have Zofran on me. Like anyone is like, oh, I really don't feel good. I'm like, you want a Zofran? Probably shouldn't say that, but
yeah, you probably shouldn't because honestly, you probably shouldn't have like given them out. If you were sick, you should have been like holding on to them like for dear life.
They were precious. I did not leave the house without them. With that being said, we didn't have insurance, so I couldn't go to an OB, and we wanted to find out the gender. And my mom found this ultrasound place here in Orange County that has like those high-tech machines, and we go. And she's like, do you guys want to find out or do you want me to put it in an envelope and then you guys could do like a gender reveal thing? And I was like, no, I'm not going to sit here and look at an ultrasound and you turn off the screen and me not get to see if I'm having a boy or girl. Like I want to find out now. And so she does the whole thing and then she's like, all right, you ready to find out? And we're like, yeah. And she goes, here's one leg. Here's the other leg. And that thing you see in between, you're definitely having a boy.
Leg. Sorry, I don't know if that's inappropriate for baby talk, but that's just where my humor goes.
I love it. But that's really how it went. And it was so funny. Maybe one time I'll post the video of like all our reactions of being in the ultrasound room. But yeah, so special. We found out we were having a boy. It shifted my whole perspective. My whole family was shocked. They were like, this is crazy. Rest of the pregnancy is normal. You can't really use the word normal within pregnancy because every body is so different. But eventually got insurance, got connected to a really good midwifery service. And so I chose a midwifery service that actually delivers in a hospital because I wanted to try to go unmedicated, but wanted to give myself the option if whatever were to happen, we'd be really close. If the pain was too much. So one of the things that I was really passionate about within...
Hold up. You wanted to go unmedicated?
I did.
Oof.
I know.
Oof.
I wanted to try it. It was one of those
all
things.
The power to you. I'm like, oh no. Help me.
See, I feel like I have a high pain tolerance and I didn't know what it was going to feel like. So my whole thing was like, this is my first. I want to try unmedicated. I want to see what it's like, but I don't want to be black and white. So I, with my whole pregnancy, was really passionate about what I call is filling my toolbox. So I really educated myself on what are tools to do unmedicated birth. Then I said, okay, what is the first line of intervention for pain management that I want to do? And I had like a bunch of tools, quote unquote tools that I did for that. And I said, okay, if I go through those, what is the next thing I'm going to pull out of my toolbox? So learned about, doing the gas, the just regular pain meds, epidurals. If it got even more, Pitocin, C-sections. I just really educated myself on I would like to see if my body can do this, if I mentally can do this. If not, I want to feel really confident on what tool I'm going to pull out of the toolbox. So that's kind of how I prepped for pregnancy or for labor. Then kind of this is where we're going to honor my husband or ex-husband. But 2 months before my son was born, we split and I moved to my mom's house. So I finished out the rest of my pregnancy by myself and really mentally started to prepare of what it was going to go like into the season of becoming a mother and becoming a mother without that partner support. So that was a journey on its own. And then really learned.
What were the emotions that you were feeling in that? Because I think we're going to have some mamas that are definitely in that similar situation. And I think you sharing where your head was at, where your heart was at, is going to make them feel like they're not alone. So would you mind just sharing kind of where you're at or where you were at in that season?
Yeah. For my circumstance, and I can only speak from mine, there was a lot of grief. Like I grieved a lot before my son came, because I never got married to get a divorce. I never chose to make a child with someone to not parent under the same household with them. Those were my intentions. Due to our circumstances and what had transpired, it was not right or safe for me and my son to do that. And so that reality of where I was really hard. I went through what led us here. I also took a lot of responsibility of knowing that relationships, it is 100. It takes two to tango. And it was just really hard understanding that that wasn't going to be my reality. And so
I
had to go through extreme. Yeah, I had to go through some extreme ownership. And then also just grieve realities of what I really wanted him to be like and what I really wanted my birth to be like. And just for very transparency, I went through a lot of thought process of, do I even want him in the delivery room? Because one of the things is if you don't feel safe to open up, your body doesn't open up and it's a lot harder for the baby to come out. And so I spent and got a lot of counsel on, can he be in the room? Should he come in just when I'm pushing? Do I want him in that at all? And that was a really hard decision that I had to make as well. I ended up deciding to invite him into the process of once I went to the hospital, and that's how we went there. So I moved into my mom's. I labored, or I was pregnant the last 2 months living there. Me and my mom were out on a walk, and it was like really hot here in April randomly. And I was wearing a dress, and I've been begging for Lincoln to come out. He was 40 weeks and 5 days. So he was like past his due date. Through the stress of everything that had gone on within my marriage, I actually went into pre-labor twice and was given shots to stop labor due to the amount of stress that my body was under.
When did you go into pre-labor? What weeks?
I went into pre-labor at 32 and 36 weeks. So about 2 months, really when everything was happening. And so, so he was fine. He stayed in, praise God. That would have been a whole nother different journey, but luckily he kept cooking past his due date. So we're on this walk, and I thought I either peed my pants or I am sweating so bad because it's so hot out and my hormones were literally the swass was real. Come to find out, the swass was actually because my water broke. And
okay, I just learned this. Apparently your water doesn't just gush like like in the movies where it just
Oh.
breaks. It just is a constant leak until you give birth. It's like a gusher that doesn't stop leaking.
Yeah.
Is that true? Was that true for you?
I mean, for me, I literally thought, I was like, but like the SWAS had been happening all day, so I had like no idea. And I had Braxton Hicks for so long that I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was anything. I was just like, wow, this is a really sweaty walk. Like my legs, like I should probably shower. Like this is gross.
Wow, this heat wave is tough.
Literally, I was like, yikes. But you hear of women like peeing their pants. That was like never an issue for me, but I was like, maybe I did. Like, yikes. No, I didn't. I was actually going into labor. So water broke around like 7, and then 10:30 is then when I went into active labor. And I wanted to labor as long as I could at home because one of the things that I knew going into the midwifery suites that I could deliver in is I had to be 5 centimeters. That's just this hospital's rule. So I was like, well, I don't want to be in triage and just like waiting to get transferred to the midwife suites.
Yeah.
So I put on, all right, what is your favorite movie when you grew up?
Ooh, Mean Girls. That's probably like the most quotable movie I have. I mean, come on.
I love
that.
it.
Was just so good. What was yours?
Mine was, I had 2, and they're still my 2 favorite, is Parent Trap, number 1. Number 2, Princess Diaries.
Oh, good
Those were
ones.
like top 2. So I had prepared to watch both of them in labor before
like
I went
sitting
to the
on the
hospital.
couch like
yeah,
I
literally on like
I never
the
went into
bouncing ball.
labor, so this is all so fascinating to me. I mean, I just went 37 weeks, just showed up. I was like, let's do this, and never went into labor. So I love hearing these stories.
I'm excited for when you guys have another. What it's going to
Are you
be like.
speaking that over our lives?
Okay, not yet.
We're on the fence, guys. We have a boy and a girl. We could get pregnant with twins again because it's 1 in 12 once you have fraternal twins. So we're talking about it when they turn 1.
Okay. We'll bring it back up. But I think you guys are amazing parents. I'm not trying to persuade or anything, but you're great parents. People like these kids would be so lucky if you guys wanted more.
Oh, you're so sweet. And I just want to touch base on this topic because you mentioned it earlier. But the 100-100 in relationships, that was something that took me a long time to learn in our marriage. And I feel like that's a very powerful thing that some people don't know. Or you're in a relationship and you're not married yet and you haven't heard that, or you are married and you think 50-50. But what I like about the 50-50, what I like about the 100 versus 50-50 is if somebody pulls back 49-48, there's like a gap. Versus 100-100, you're like locked in and there's room, but you guys are both protected.
So good. I've never seen a visual. If you're just listening to this, Ari did a visual.
Check it out.
Where, if you guys want to watch a visual, click on the Spotify thing. You can watch it. But if you're just listening, she had her fists up against each other and demonstrated that as 50-50. So if you start pulling your fist away, you have a gap. But with 100-100, she went fist to elbow and then started pulling away, and you still have where your fists are covering your other arms. So it really is like we can have a marriage conversation. I could tell you guys amazing books that really opened my eyes during my whole process. Another day.
We'll do another podcast on that.
We'll do another podcast. But yeah. Back to, I'm now in active labor. I watched both Parent Trap and Princess Diaries. I labored like on the ball, in the shower, around walking, all the type of stuff. And then my midwife said, come in when they're 2 minutes apart for a minute long. So my contractions were 2 minutes apart, a minute long. And I'm like, all right, let's go. This is 2 a.m. I am desperately calling Charlie. Like being like, I'm in labor, not answering for an hour. I cannot get a hold of him. And I'm like, he's going to sleep through our kid getting born. Like he's not going to make it. And I was like a little spicy, and I was like about to call his friends to like go knock on the door and be like, Jamie's in labor. Like, you need to get to the hospital. Praise God. Right when we got to the hospital, he answers, he meets us there. We had to all come in together. I get checked into triage. Like, yep, you're in labor. They measure me. I'm at 4 centimeters. This is like 3 in the morning. I'm like, all right, 4 centimeters. I could do this. Let's go.
Triage party.
Yeah. Okay. This is also, okay. This may be a little gross. So I'm so sorry if like poop things gross people out.
We're here for the real talk. Okay.
Yeah. So my body, one of women's biggest fears is like pooping during labor, like while they're pushing and whatever. My body got it all out when in like the beginning of labor. Like,
got a PGP? Pre-game poop? Sorry, guys. As a college athlete, we talked about PGPs.
That is amazing. I've never heard of that, but literally that is so accurate.
Oh,
that is amazing. But essentially, yeah, we PGP'd. PGP. But it was the worst smelling thing I've ever smelled in my entire life, that it was nauseating to me. And again, going back to my greatest fear is throwing up. And the smell of what was coming out of me was so nauseating that the only thing written on my birth plan is that when I would get checked into the hospital, they'd instantly put an IV in and instantly start me on drip anti-nausea. Didn't care anything else. That was like the biggest starred, highlighted, circled thing on my birth plan is starter on drip Zofran. Here we go.
Put it in.
Hook me up.
Both arms, please. Both arms.
So I get the Zofran. My body clears itself out. I'm laboring, just letting my body do its thing, waiting to get to a 5 so I could get transferred to the midwifery suites. And 2 hours go by, nothing. 3 hours go by, nothing. 4 hours go by, nothing.
Well, not nothing, because you're having contractions. So are you like keeling over, like,
oh yeah. And not like, just like, oh shit. Like, yeah, like this hurts. Like, this is not fun. And then I don't know if this was the best thing that my nurse did or like not the best thing, but someone was checked in right next to me at the exact same time. And she would come back and be like, oh, she's dilated to a 6. And she'd be like, let's check you. And I'd be like, haven't progressed at all. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, they're like, yeah, she's going to have hers this morning. And I'm like, not even near. Like,
they're tapping into your competitive side.
Literally, I think that was her plan.
Like, okay, come on.
She's like, you're an athlete. You could do this. But finally, 12 hours into labor, or 15 hours into labor, more like it. So now we are at noon the next day. My water broke at 7 the night before. I am running a fever. I have complete shakes because I'm so like pregnancy, labor shakes, super nauseous. The nausea medicine isn't working, and their aircon is now no longer working in my suite. And it was like miserable. I'll have to like post again photos where I literally have either Charlie or my mom holding portable fans up to me, cool washcloths, like holding my legs down so I don't like shake off the bed. It was really, really hard. But the best part of labor is knowing that like there's a reward, and the reward is you get to see your kid. So finally, 15 hours into labor, I'm like, I'm going to pull a tool out of my toolbox. I'm going to get an epidural.
15 hours later, we pull a tool out.
Yes.
Okay, Ian and I have a joke when I try to open up packages and I just try and like rip them apart. He's like, there's a thing called tools. That's like a 2-minute thing.
Yeah.
You were 15 hours. Okay, champ.
Thank you. I wanted to see if I could do it unmedicated. And again, maybe competitive thing in me. My best friend literally had her first baby, 10 pounds, start to finish, 7 hours. This was
Duke?
Yeah.
Go Nicole.
Didn't tear. Unmedicated. Like, so in my mind, I thought he would have been born by 15 hours. I was like, she was 7, 10-pound baby. Lincoln, few pounds less, like he's coming. No. So 15 hours in, finally get an epidural. The anesthesiologist, not the best, only works on one leg. So now I am confined to my bed with one leg completely dead, doesn't exist, and the other leg totally movement and still laboring. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is nuts.
We can laugh now, but that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was not fun. Love, though, my midwives through the whole thing. They were just team Jamie. So my midwife would come in and she would just observe for 10 minutes. And then she would kind of decide of like, what are my options? She would give me my options and we'd make a game plan and we'd go from there. So I had an amazing experience. I never felt pressured into anything. I felt really educated and I felt like that I was given a lot of pro-choice on how I wanted my birth experience to be. So get the epidural, not progressing still, have a fever. They now have to start me on antibiotics because I'm running such a high fever. Then start Pitocin because I'm still only at a 4. And
did they say why you got a fever?
I could have came in with a fever. I could have also too, once your water breaks like past 24 hours, you usually start running a fever. I wish I knew more. Honestly, I don't remember that much. It's all just like was a lot. Really, really interesting too, like having everyone who's in the room. My mom was there. Charlie was there. Then the nurses. Yeah. So then finally at 8 p.m. So my water breaks at 7, active labor at 10, into the hospital at 2, 8 p.m. that night, a new anesthesiologist gets on shift, fixes my epidural. My midwife comes in, gives me 2 doses of 2 separate anti-nauseas, and I became a new human. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why people get epidurals. This is why people do this. Like, this is the best thing ever. Literally, if you look at pictures of me when everything wasn't working and then pictures of when I did have an epidural, I look like a night and day different human. And my body then just relaxed. And all of a sudden, I went from like 4, 6, 8, 10, and she checked me at 10 p.m. and I was at a 10. And she's like, do you want to start practice pushing? And I was like, to be honest, not really. I like finally feel like I could breathe and I can like settle for a second. Like, can I just chill? And she's like, sure, I'll come back in 30 minutes. So the nurse comes back in 30 minutes. And like, at this point, Lincoln's head is like starting to crown, like he is coming out. And she's like, maybe we should just find out what position you want to push in. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, felt really honored because I was like, oh, I don't want to labor on my back. And so she's like, okay. And we went through 6 different pushing positions. And eventually I decided I actually like laboring on my back the best.
I was going to say, why wouldn't you like laboring on your back? I feel like in the movies, you always see like.
Yeah. Well, like gravity plays such a huge part in delivery. So being on your back, you're fighting against gravity.
Got it.
And so, but how he was positioned, it was the best position to get him out smoothly. So
is it like lying on your back, like laying flat, or is it even lying on your back inclined?
If I can remember,
I feel like inclined laying on your back, it's gravity, right?
Yeah. I don't remember.
It's just so interesting to me.
It is. So finally, we do like at 10:30, we start going through all the different positions. And then I was like, I'm going to make it before midnight. I'm going to make it before midnight. Like he's going to be born on this day. And then all of a sudden, like during all of this, my mom's like kind of standing in support. Charlie's holding one foot, a nurse is holding the other. And all Charlie is saying is like, oh my gosh, he has so much hair. Like he has so much hair. This is crazy. And Lincoln literally had jet black hair. So all he sees is just like a head with jet black hair that's like starting to come out. And if you guys don't know,
now Lincoln is
like,
blonde.
Yeah. I have blonde hair. Lincoln has blonde hair. So super crazy. I came out with black hair. Lincoln came out with black hair.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I loved actual delivery. I felt so empowered as a woman. Once we started doing practice pushes, I had worship music on. So we had this like just empowering songs going, and the room just was filled with so much peace. And sorry, my phone buzzed. I just like, I was in the zone of this kid is coming out, how my epidural was set. It was called like a walking epidural. So I still was able to feel him coming down. Like my nurse would be like, all right, when you feel the contraction come, we're going to go through 3 different pushes through each contraction. And when the contraction's done, we'll rest.
Wow.
And so I felt the whole experience. When he essentially was then coming out, they got my midwife. My midwife came in. Everything was very peaceful, very calm. She's massaging, the nurse and my midwife both massaged me the whole time to help me so I wouldn't tear.
Oh, wait, what were they massaging?
They did the whole perineal massages to like, I thought
we were talking about like massaging her shoulders. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fabulous.
C-section moms, I love it.
But yeah, physical therapy, I've gotten that massage too.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yes. I cannot wait till we talk about that because it is
Oh my gosh.
You guys heard on the last one, your vagina isn't safe if you have a C-section.
It ain't safe. No.
It's not safe.
And physical therapy, they can do a lot. Diastasis, C-section scar work, and that little massage that people don't talk about.
Well, praise God for the massage because so as we're in the zone, I feel empowered. I literally felt like I was born for this. This is the most like euphoric experience. My body was finally calm. The room was set, cool. Like it was just this incredible, peaceful experience. Once my midwife got in there, it was 2 pushes and it was in between contractions. She's like, he's right there. Do you want to reach down and pull him out? And I'm like, what?
Whoa.
And she's like, yeah, reach down, push, and you'll be able to pull him out. So I literally reached down, pulled him out, and like I instantly start bawling. I was like, oh, I like can't believe I pulled him out. And then I didn't know this, but they told me later, like the umbilical cord and everything was like wrapped around him. So like really fast, they're trying to like unwrap the umbilical cord off his neck
you like
and everything.
Pull him out and like instantly put him to your chest and they're like trying to fix it along the way?
Literally, they're like, wait. But I could just remember pulling him out and I was just an emotional wreck. I was like, I can't believe that I created this. I can't believe that he's here. Like this is so incredible. And it was this total experience. I did have a very, very tiny tear. So once he was born, I delivered my placenta and then she stitched me up a little. And then this is where we had kind of a bummer experience, and we'll do a whole episode going into all of this, but Lincoln came out not breathing correctly. So there is something that's really common. Again, it's not talked about as much, but when the umbilical cord is cut is the first time oxygen enters the air, or like when they come out, they start crying, but really it's with the umbilical cord. When Lincoln's umbilical cord was cut, the air did not go inside of his lungs and actually went on the outside of his lungs. I don't understand how that works, but somehow it did, and it collapsed one of his lungs. So he was gasping for air constantly. So I got to have golden hour, which like I pull him out, I put him on my chest. I got that golden hour of just having him on my chest for a whole hour. They're doing all the measurements, all the things on me. So I was so thankful that I got that bonding, that connection time. We go to do the first breastfeed. He latches right away. I got really lucky that we didn't have any problems there, but they still couldn't figure out his breathing. And so they clean us all up. I get transferred to the postpartum suites. And 3 hours now after he's born, so essentially the hour of golden hour, we have like a little bit, they come back in to do the first check, and the nurse is like, we're going to actually take him to the nursery and we're going to make sure everything's okay.
Could you tell before they took him that something was wrong, or were you just like new mom, like you weren't sure what was going on?
Yeah, you could tell something was off. I obviously didn't know what. He looked fine, but it didn't sound right. And they kept
like he wasn't blue or like, you know.
No, he wasn't blue. He just wasn't crying correctly, and like just normal things that you think about of hearing a newborn, like their cry, just it wasn't. And they kept trying to like clear fluid out of the lungs, thinking it was something like that, and it wasn't. So after we got transferred to the postpartum suites is actually when Charlie left. So I was with my mom in the postpartum suite. The nurse came for her first visit, and that's when she took Lincoln and essentially said, we're taking him to the nursery. So that was a really, really vulnerable moment for me. And I was alone. I didn't have who I was married to at the time or my son with me. And I'm now alone in a postpartum suite.
Did Charlie leave because you asked him to, or did Charlie leave on his own?
It was kind of like a mutual agreement of we were going to get like a little bit of sleep and he was going to come back in the morning.
Okay.
Because I had labored for 25 hours. He was up for it. I was up for it. And it was kind of like there wasn't space for him to be there. Usually like the dads rest with the mom and postpartum suites and everything. And so.
Yeah. I don't know. Dad sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting in my bed, like so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I mean, the beds for the dads really aren't that comfortable too, or the partners, sorry. But yeah.
Yeah. So it was mutually agreed upon.
And your mom was with you. So there's only one bed in there, right? For whoever's staying with you.
Yeah. They actually didn't even have beds. Yeah. They ended up switching us into another room because they gave him oxygen in the NICU thing, which for a baby with a collapsed lung, it actually makes it worse because now you're forcing oxygen into a lung that isn't there. So you're just putting more oxygen where it's not supposed to be.
Just more pressure.
So eventually they call a pediatrician in, they do x-rays, they see the collapsed lung, and they then decide it is time to take Lincoln to the NICU. So at this point, Charlie's now back at the hospital. I am completely distraught. I'm like totally just a mess, a wreck. I didn't have physical support from him because of our situation of what we were in. He was able to give me the reassurance that he knew how to give, but it really wasn't what I emotionally needed. So we end up getting transferred to the NICU. And the first 24 hours then of his life, they did what was called no stimulation. So the first 24 hours of Lincoln's life, I wasn't allowed to touch him. And that was really, really hard as obviously a new mom for anyone. And all those NICU moms, like I have so much compassion for you because it is so hard. Those machines are so sensitive. And so you're looking at your child and you hear the machines go off every 2 seconds. And Lincoln's machines went off because his oxygen just kept dropping and dropping. So it was really hard. And yeah, then I'll fast forward through the NICU because we're going to do a whole NICU talk with another mom. We're going to bring on one of our ambassadors who also had a child in a NICU. We're going to go deep into NICU because NICU experiences are so different.
Yeah.
But we were there about a week and finally we got the go ahead. Lincoln was cleared. He was good to go. And I got to bring him home. And it was so special. It was another grieving process because I was bringing him home alone and I was going to my mom's house and not into the nursery that we had originally planned for him.
Mm.
So that was definitely a hard process. And I instantly had to go into learning how to co-parent right off the bat. Which down the line, that whole experience of my birth story and going into postpartum, I then knew for my personal health of if I could be the best mom that I can for Lincoln, I need to make sure that I am at least a little bit mentally okay to show up for him in my circumstances with my marriage, with my previous history of mental health, and just in normal postpartum hormone craziness. And so I started walking every single day. And
I was going to say, and mic drop, here comes the Mom Walk Collective.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
So
bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Dun, 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 dun.
I was going to go gang, gang, bang, bang. Oh, that's actually terrible. I take that back. Ooh, okay. Well, let's wrap this thing up because I think we're going to jump into in the next podcast. Next couple podcasts, we'll give you a little sneak peek. We're going to jump into life when we came home with the babies. We are going to go into start interviewing some of our ambassadors and having you get to know who these amazing women are that ended up reaching out to Jamie and said like, hey, this is amazing that you started this where you live. Like, I want to start this where I live. And we're going to get to hear from them, which I'm so excited. We have NICU mamas. We have some nurses that are like NICU nurses. We have a baby catcher. Shout out Cody. I'm really excited. I'm about to hear from some of these working mamas. See how they're doing it.
If you guys want to hear a mom topic, like me and Ari just wanted to share our birth stories just so you guys can feel connected to us as mothers. But we want to talk about topics that you guys are interested in. We love being moms. Like the fact that we get to raise these tiny humans is so fun. And we want to champion life, pregnancy, labor, and life after. So if you guys have any topics that you're like, I would love to hear you guys talk with someone who also went through, I'm just using the NICU experience because it's off the top of my head, a NICU experience, or can you interview a mom who doesn't have family around her? I think that would be a big topic. So any ideas that you guys have something like that, go to the Mom Walk.
No topic is off limits.
Yes, I agree.
Sometimes my brain jumps, you guys, and I like blend words together. So we'll work on that. But
no, seriously, like even stuff of like sex after babies. I mean, I can't speak from that because I don't have a partner. But Ari can do that. And we can bring an ambassador in, or breast and bottle feeding. We'll do it all. Okay. Me and Ari are amazing friends, but parent differently. And so we want to hear what you guys want to talk about. We're so excited for this podcast. So if you have any ideas, DM us at the Mom Walk Co on Instagram, or you can email us, go to our website, themomwalkcollective.com. There is a contact form. You guys can enter it there. If you guys like this, please comment, like, share, the whole shebang. It would mean a ton to us. If you're trying to find a walk near you, again, go to themomwalkcollective.com, click find a walk, type in your zip code. You'll be able to find a walk near you. As of right now, we have 100 cities, and in the interest, we have another 100 women that are interested in starting them near you. So if you don't see one now, keep checking back or fill out our ambassador form, which is on the website, and we can help you start a walk near you. So we love you, Mama. Thank you for listening to my story, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Love you.